Hello, I'm Greg with Primal Rights. You may have seen in our past videos that I have been using Really Right Stuff tripods a lot here in the last couple of years. Now, if you've watched our coyote videos, I've been using a set of TVC 23 legs on coyote sets for at least the last 8 months or so. And the tripod that I've got here is a set of 33 legs, so it's just a little bigger. But I have both the 23, a couple sets of the 23s, and these 33s here that I use on the various different rifles depending on what I'm going to be doing. In the past, you've always seen me with a hog saddle on top of the tripod legs. So there's a hog saddle that mounts to that clamps the rifle. That hog saddle is mounted on top of a ball head, and then that ball head is attached to a set of legs. So in the coyote videos, for instance, you'd see the TVC 23 legs and a BH 40 or ball head 40, and then the hog saddle on top of it. Really Right Stuff has come up with a new way to attach these firearms directly to their legs without having so much in between. And what they've come up with is a direct attachment method. And you can see here that I've got a Really Right Stuff rail mounted directly onto the Desert Tech SRS-A1. Now, this rail is proprietary and built specifically for the Desert Tech rifle. Now, they have these for other rifles as well. They have an Accuracy International version, and if you've taken a look at Sniper's Hide recently, you'll see Frank Galley has been working with that extensively, and I think he likes it. I haven't seen his full review on it yet, but I know that I certainly like it for the Desert Tech. There's a couple of distinct advantages to running a setup like this that we'll get into here in a moment. But more on the rail itself, you can see it's very light. They have all the areas recessed under here as much as possible. Several direct attachment points, and then a flush cup swing swivel as well. So it's a very, very versatile little piece of equipment. It's not just something that you clamp on here and takes up a bunch of space. You can actually use this thing for more than one or two different options here. And very light, and it's all very smooth as well. There's no super sharp corners on here. You can run your hand and use this thing as a grip, and they actually put finger notches in here specifically so that you could do that. So very, very forward thinking of Really Right Stuff there. And the attachment rail is designed to fit with the handguard and the skins here on the Desert Tech just perfectly. So that's very cool. And to get it on the tripod itself, it's just a quick detach plate. So you just kind of want to find your center of gravity there on the rifle, which on the Desert Tech is about right there, which is about right where they have the hand grip on the skins themselves. Once you're there, you just flip the lever and clamp it in. Now, that's the attachment method, but let's take a look at what I'm attaching it to. This is a leveling base from Really Right Stuff. So this leveling base, the way that it works is you adjust tension by spinning this knob down here on the bottom. You can see this whole handle rotates. So by loosening that up, it just kind of flops around. If you add a little bit of tension to it, it takes up that slack. Now you can see here, unlike a ball head, it doesn't allow for a ton of movement, but it is pretty versatile. So I can go down, I think it's 15 degrees. 15 degrees is the, so total 30 degrees of movement if memory serves. So in most shooting situations, that's going to be enough. I mean, that's going to be plenty to get you what you need. So obviously, if you have 15 degrees up, 15 degrees down, you also have that in cant as well. And of course, panning, you can do whatever you want. It spins 360 degrees. So by adjusting the tension that you have on this leveling base, you can set how difficult it is to move the rifle around. It's a very secure attachment method. There's not really a way for this thing to come out of there. Now, if you ask Really Right Stuff, they'll tell you that with enough recoil, if you have Magnum cartridges and so on, the base here might start to kind of slide back and migrate back a little bit. So there's things that you can do there to prevent that from popping all the way out. And it's important too that if you have the stops installed on this thing, if you just come to the first notch here, you can't actually take it out. You'd have to slide it all the way out one direction or the other. And you can see just the way my rifle's set up, it captures it in there. So there's no way that it would be able to pop out of there anyway. I'd have to fold the bipod down in order to get it out of there. Now if I pull it all the way back there like that, that's just a standard dovetail QD plate that you can get from Really Right Stuff, which is mounted right atop the leveling head here. So the leveling head comes with that piece of hardware. At least the one that I got here came with that piece of hardware. All this stuff is modular, so all the little nooks and pieces of it and whatnot kind of are all designed to work together, and you can modularize your setup and have different heads on top of here if you so choose. Now, one of the main differences between running a leveling base like this and a direct attachment compared to a ball head setup is that with a ball head and hog saddle, it's typically pretty spongy. So when you're actually making inputs into the rifle, you've got to input and move past your target quite a bit, actually, depending on how much tension you have on the ball head. Now, if you flip the lever lock on the ball head and get it so it's completely motionless, you can kind of dial right in. But then if you take your hands off the rifle, a lot of times your crosshair will move ever so slightly. So there's always been a compromise that had to be made from a natural point of aim perspective with a ball head and hog saddle. And that's just due to the hog saddle having some rubber on the inside of it, so you've got kind of a soft contact to your rifle, which can be good for accuracy. Now, the direct attachment method is a lot easier to manage your natural point of aim with. It is just simply a little easier to manipulate the rifle onto your desired target, and once you get there, it kind of stays there. It doesn't want to spring back, and you don't have to move around past your target and kind of fight that natural point of aim like you'd have to on a ball head and hog saddle setup. So I'm going to just engage a target. I got a target down there, and I'm going to engage that target here and just fire off a few shots and show you guys the simplicity. So I'm just going to move the rifle off target here. And with the adjustment that I've got in it now, plenty of tension, but you can see it doesn't take a lot of force. It's the thing with a ball head. You have to actually grab the thing and manipulate it in order to get the tension just right. With this, you can kind of set it where you want it. It doesn't take a lot of force to move this thing around. And once it's there, you just let go and stop, and it's pretty much dead on the money where you want it. Now, you can really crank it down and make it really hard, if not impossible, to move the thing. You know, you've got to really crank on it and put a lot of weight when it's at its max setting. So I like to find somewhere kind of right in the middle where I can get a good, easy movement out of it. And then it's a little easier to get that natural point of aim identified and take a shot. So let's go ahead and do that here. Very easy to manipulate this rifle when it's in this mount. And like I said, the natural point of aim is just a lot easier to adjust and deal with. So now that we've gone over the leveling base and the direct attach method, the leveling base can still be used with a hog saddle mount as well. And that's accomplished by just using one of these quick detach dovetail plates. So if I pop the Desert Tech off here, the direct attach mount stays attached to the rifle, and then I can come in and put my hog saddle on. Now, there is some considerations here in terms of how close your mounting hardware is adjusted here. But, you know, if a guy plays around with how the quick detach plate is on the hog saddle and then slides it around to where you want the dovetail, most of that can be overcome. I'll grab a TS Customs 6BR here. And you can see you can clamp that right up and use that with the leveling base just as you would a direct mount. Now obviously there's that sponginess. You can see if I lock this down, that hog saddle, it has that kind of squishy control to it. So it's just not quite as rigid of a setup. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but it's definitely something to consider. Now, if you're going for the utmost in precision rifle accuracy, there is a small chance that the direct attach mount might cause some harmonic variances to your rifle. Your point of impact shift might be there. But in my testing, I mean, we're talking well inside of most shooter error. I'm talking quarter MOA or so, or less. I've shot quite a few rounds off the direct attach, and of course I've been running the Hog Saddle for a long time, and I haven't saw any direct correlation between how you're mounting it up to the tripod. Now I think that has to do with the Really Right Stuff legs here more than it does anything. On the bottom of the legs of the Really Right Stuff setups here, they have some really nice soft rubber feet. Now these things aren't like Jello or anything, but it does dampen a lot of vibration. And the tripods themselves are extraordinarily rigid, and the legs are very, very strong. But yet, carbon fiber tends to be a little forgiving. It has some pliability to it to a certain degree. Now you can see here that I've got on the Hog Saddle, I've got the stops installed on the quick detach plate. So you can go ahead and install those stops on most of the quick detach accessories that Really Right Stuff has for this thing. That will basically stop it in here. You have to come back all the way on the lever to get it out. So if you do have recoil moving things around, it'll just not just drop right out of the head. You can actually just be sure that it'll stay in there. And then to disengage, you have to come all the way out on the lever here. And then clamp it in its place. Now you'll notice here that the setup that we've got, the quick detach plate is crammed right down on the top of here. So if I tried to engage my Hog Saddle here, it might hit that bubble level. So the guy's got to be just kind of cautious about how you set it up. And they do make taller accessories that go on here as well. So as with a lot of the camera equipment type stuff that we use for our shooting, some of it's not set up just perfectly. Now that's something that Really Right Stuff is going to be solving a lot here as they move forward. They've got a SOAR, it's called. I think it's called Sport Optics and Rifle. But the idea is that Really Right Stuff has a complete section of their business that's dedicated to rifle shooters and the gear that we want to see on these things now. So if you do have any questions about what to buy to make sure that your setup is going to work perfectly for you, give them a call directly, and you can request to speak with Michael, and he is their gun guy. So he would be able to answer any of the questions that you have in terms of being able to get the right equipment here to go on your specific setup. So here's the leveling base by itself. You can just see its movement in here. If I have it on a very loose setting, you can see it's just basically a little cup that holds this cup on top of it and articulates freely there, and put a little bit of tension on it and it moves tougher. So quick glance underneath, you can see the mechanism itself. So it's just this piece here pushes and sandwiches that top cup against this plate here. And it's all, of course, beautifully machined stuff. Really Right Stuff is just absolutely incredible from a quality standpoint. They make just incredibly well built, and the fit and finish is second to none. So this here is the leveling base and quick detach dovetail plate with direct rifle mount capability, as well as your Hog Saddle mounting capability. Well, I'd keep a very close eye on Really Right Stuff here in the coming months and years. They have proven that they're dead serious about shooting sports, and most importantly, the precision rifle shooting sports. And they've come out with some very innovative and unique gear this year, and I would look for that to continue on into the coming years. So keep a good close eye on them. Have a look at their website, which is reallyrightstuff.com. And if you have any questions that I can answer, feel free to hit me up on the forums, send me an email, give me a call, whatever. Otherwise, I know the guys at Really Right Stuff would be excited to talk to you. So go ahead and give it a look, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And we should have some more really unique stuff from Really Right Stuff to review in the near future.